Ooh, what's up, guys? Wasn't really planning on going live, but it's not a bad time to do it. So we got a DTS. We're going to be doing Pro Classic 20 on the front. We're going to be doing 5 in the rear. This thing is very clean. I used to tint a lot of these. This takes me back to when I started. So DTS, pretty straightforward. The back windows shift a little bit to the side. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is like a 2009. I just had a 2010 Prius right before it. I guess it's a good day for that year range. So let's get this set up. I think that should do it. There we go. Jay, how are you doing? Got all my supplies and tint and ready to tint my 2005 Volvo XC90. Just kind of nervous and don't have a shop or garage. Ooh. Doing it outside is going to be tricky. Try and leave it up against the side of a building and do it when it's not super windy. It needs to be in the shade. We're going to find a nozzle and quick adapter for your tinting tank. Wait, I got a link for you. Everything for the kegs can be found on Sun Distributing's website. Sun Distributing. Ugh, didn't work. Sun Distributing. Sun Distributing. There you go. It only took 3 times. But they sell all the parts for the kegs. I want to get my HHR tinted, but it has factory tint in the back, 70 front, 20 rear. I'm going to ask for 5 in the front, 20 in the rear. Do you think that'll match? That will be as close of a match for a dark match as you can get. You're spot on that. Yep. It comes surprisingly close with most factory window tint. Yep. 20 over 20, right in the 5% range, 5 over the front. It's hard to tell the difference. Do you use any special tint spray recipe or just no-tear shampoo? Yep, baby shampoo is great. That's kind of the staple. There are a couple of like tinting solutions that, you know, have a couple little benefits to them, but they're not required, really. Gonna use house tint on cars? You know, I believe it or not, I don't think I've ever had that question. I don't know. I don't see why you couldn't, except architectural film might not shrink the same, and it's generally way more expensive. So people ask for the other way around. They want to put automotive tint on architectural glass just because it's cheaper that way. But got to pay attention to how much heat that glass is absorbing. There we go. Perfect. All right. All right, let's get started. I had no idea that they were making the tint into the glass. Yeah, they've been doing it for a long time now. They do, what you'll see is, you'll see this a lot on factory or on trucks and SUVs. There's different laws per state, so what they can do is they can dye the rear glass on trucks and SUVs, but they can't do it with cars. How much roughly is this job going to cost the customer? I've been quoted around $480 for all windows except the windshield, ceramic too. $480 is pretty spot on. I'm like $450 for ceramic, all the sides and the rear. This one is actually going to be a standard job. We haven't done a standard job in quite a long time, believe it or not. Everything's been carbon or ceramic. And, you know, he's on a bit of a tight budget with this one. So we are going to be installing Pro Classic, and it's going to cost $290 for all of the sides and the rear. We almost did windshield, and we almost did ceramic. But timing was not on our side. So we're doing standard, because that's what he planned for. But it's all good. I'm actually just really surprised with how much carbon and ceramic I've been able to do. Because I used to do these types of jobs all day long. Like this is all I tinted was like, you know, pulling cars in for tint. That was it. But this thing is super clean too. So that always helps. It's got like 40,000 miles on it. So when I turn this on, you're gonna notice these rear side windows. I'm pretty sure they're gonna slide. I think they're gonna slide out this way. I wasn't paying attention when I rolled them down, but I'm pretty sure they do. We'll find out. Whoops. Tyvek tends to rip more, I'm noticing. What happened to Lowe's tape? Lowe's tape got more expensive. They're both $14 now. So I had Home Depot's a little bit more convenient, so we just picked up some tape from there. If I'm being completely honest, it tears just a little bit more than Lowe's does. It feels basically identical. What? Can you ask the owner if he's willing to sell the car? But do you want to buy his DTS? What's the going price? Believe it or not, so I already cashed him out. We were talking a little bit. He actually told me how much he bought this car for. How much would you buy it for? Yeah, Pro Classic is awesome too. It's one reason why I offer it. There's no... If you want a solid film that's not going to let you down, and you want a very simplistic film, Pro Classic, man. Coloring's great. Shrink's great. It is what I would call a workhorse film. Yes, it's a very nice car. I'm asking the guy that said he wanted to buy it. I don't know. I've never had somebody offer to buy a car. Throw me an offer. I don't know if he wants to sell it. He just found it. I don't remember exactly where he got it, but he just, you know, came across it. Super clean. Low miles. Yeah, it's nice. I'll tell you what he paid for it, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how serious this is actually going to get. Very popular in Oklahoma and looks a lot like the one more square body. Yeah, these were incredibly popular around here, too. I tinted a lot of DTSs. And I was always happy to tint stuff like this. You know, really straightforward. pretty easy going windows. This is the weirdest thing that they do, though. You see how the glass pops out this way? So when you roll it up, it goes back into the seal. When you roll it down, it pops back this way. So we'll do those just a little bit differently, but kind of like you've seen on trucks and, oh, mostly trucks. They'll be similar to that. Kind of like the Rams and some of the F-150 rear windows. I don't know where I should put that. They're more pimped out in Oklahoma? Oh, I don't think so. Okay, so this one is very straightforward. I saw my fair share of like super dressed up DTSs. I mean, especially around the time that they came out. I mean, anywhere, especially in the early 2000s, right? I mean, 2000s up. You had the flip out radios, aftermarket screens and lift kits, big wheels. Like, this was lots of that. All right. So that's all good. I guess we'll get started. So I gotta find a roll of 20. Should be right here. Uh-oh, I only got one box left, really? Dang. Unless I missed somewhere. Yes. What's the average income for a one-man shop? Depends on how you run it. There's so many variables there. On average, I want to say like a decent busy single installer can pull in by himself. I don't know, probably about 180 to 250,000 in window tint. Like 250,000 is definitely pushing it. But if you have a good system for upsells and stuff and you stay busy, you can do about that in window tint a year. So that with your shop and expenses and everything. What's up?
You got anything else we do?
Actually, no. Hang on one sec. Alrighty. Do you want to just take the rest of the day?
Is that cool?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I always feel like you gotta give me a certain amount of hours, so like, no? All good?
I mean, yeah, but like, unless you like have something else that you do.
No, it's all good. Yeah, no, you can take it off. So tomorrow we're gonna be closing on the house at 11, so I won't be here in the morning. But I mean, I kind of figured like I really would like to move that washer and dryer in there. So if you want to swing in here in the morning, take care of any orders that come in, and then we'll go from there. And I'll swing over and pick out or work.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, that's
Tomorrow morning for orders.
yeah.
Before you leave, can you just make sure that your computers are like,
Oh yeah.
That's it.
If it does, call me. But I feel like the password's not very good.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
all right.
Sorry to interrupt the stream.
Oh, you're all good.
Alright, okay, see you on.
See ya. Thank you. All right. Let's keep going here. GoPro. Yeah, talk to an accountant on all the ins and outs of like tax benefits and stuff like that, because you can also S corp. I want to say that was one somebody talked to me about before. There's a lot of tinters will just do LLCs. It might have been an S corp. Yeah, there's certain income brackets and stuff where you can write off a lot of stuff and put it towards your business. You know, it's funny. I always feel like, I don't know. I always try and get him extra hours, but on a day like today, I just don't have much for him to do. And he was just like, yeah, is that cool if I like take off for today or whatever, unless you have something else for me to do? I'm like, nah, dude, it's totally fine. I genuinely, like, I would stream for the rest of the day. I kind of feel bad. He's like, yeah, it's nice to have them, but at the same time, I can do some other stuff too. It's kind of awesome. So he helped get a couple distributor orders together and pack up a bunch of glass aid and clay bars and stuff. And yeah, it's just that there's just not a lot going on right now other than what I'm doing. What's the difference in plexus versus dryer sheet? What's plexus? I've never heard of plexus, actually. I know dry shrink prep. I know dryer sheets. Oh, is this one stuck? Oh, that one was one that's... It's a stuck piece. Gotta remind me, we're doing 5 on the back in Pro Classic. Sometimes I forget. One of the previous jobs that I had this week, we were talking a lot about options. Oh, it might have been the one on Saturday. The one I did ceramic on the rear, carbon on the front 2 doors, and ceramic on the windshield. I know we talked about putting ceramic on the rear and carbon on the front doors, but somewhere along the lines, he wanted to do just carbon on all the sides and the rear, which makes a lot of sense, and then ceramic on the windshield. So when it came time to cashing out, I was like, yeah, we did ceramic on the rear. And he's like, oh, shoot. And I was like, oh, no. It's okay. He got a free upgrade on that one. He's a really nice guy. That popped into my head. So I haven't done a ton of Pro Classic jobs lately. I just want to make sure I'm doing the right films. What is it? I'm having a hard time with dry shrink prep because it sticks to the glass and I crease it. Yeah, put a thin coating on it or just move to dryer sheets. So I was having the exact same issue and I stopped using it for a little while. So he's got a video. Look up if you haven't already, look up the dry shrink prep like installation guide. Well, installation guide kind of sounds a little elaborate. It's plexus is, oh, okay, hang on. So let me talk about that. So, I came back around to using dry shrink prep. You clean off the glass, spray the baggie, and just try and do a thin layer on it, because the more you put, the harder it's gonna stick. The thing I liked about dryer sheets too, and I still, like when I'm teaching the class, I'll show them dry shrink prep as an option, but I'll primarily, if they're gonna apply it themselves, I'll typically have them use a dryer sheet because it's a little bit more foolproof. You can soak down the window, you can soak down the dryer sheet, and you really can't have enough. It just takes longer for everything to dry and set up. So if I set something up, I can set it up really quick with dry shrink prep. But I kind of, at this point, I know more what I'm looking for. But yeah, that was one of the hangups. I was just putting too much on the window. You don't have to put much on the window. As an LLC, you're paying taxes as an individual. Some of the S corp. Oh yeah, you get tax breaks on an S corp. That's cool. Yeah, what the heck is Plexus? I've literally never heard of Plexus. Is a plastics cleaner spray that can be used for shrinking back windows. I heard old school tinters used to use it. No, actually, I've never heard of it. I've heard people using like interesting sprays and stuff. So here's the thing. A lot of these products, they come from two things. Being convenient, cheap, and three things, I guess. Being convenient, cheap, and accessible. I guess convenient and accessible can kind of be in the same category. So when tint companies came up with window tint, they didn't give installers an instruction manual. They basically make the material and then hand it to people to figure out how to install it. And then installers figure out what works well and ways to then make it cheaper. So baby shampoo, dryer sheets, all that stuff really comes from it works well enough and it's easily accessible. So if it isn't broke, people don't generally go out of their way to fix it and find different solutions. So a lot of these things are kind of like, oh, that's just what people use, so that becomes a staple item. There's probably hundreds of alternatives that would work okay. Like baby powder was another one that people liked. I never really liked using baby powder, but it was another option, and it's cheap, comes in a big thing, and just fart it onto the window, and then boom, you're off shrinking. So, if you keep digging, you'll find other solutions and stuff. But yeah, that's one I've never heard of. It's interesting. It would probably work fine then if other guys used it. I was introduced at the point where dryer sheets were like the thing to use. Okay, so I have this. There we go. Oh, no, we almost did it again. Okay, so what I ended up doing is I cut a little notch into the bottom. So basically, like, if we'll go to the other side, watch how quick this drops out. The whole window comes up at a slant, so the whole thing shifts out of this side seal, but the point here in this corner happens so fast that as soon as I roll this down, let me just make sure I'm rolling the right one down. That's this one. So here to here, the glass has barely been exposed at all. So if I treat this little notch as my side edge, basically, mark it, shift my film over some, cut this edge, roll the window down, cut the entire top edge together, and then just connect the line there, then all my gaps are going to be covered. Because as soon as this window starts to roll down, it shifts out of the glass but down into the seal. So you don't need this line to necessarily be completely perfect, but you want to try and cut it down as far as you can. There's really only a handful of windows that do this, but they're not super hard. Like you'll see Crown Vics do this. And I don't know, any number of other ones I can't think of right now. So I'll cut that. And then I'll make this cut as far down as I can. But this only that's kind of the point here. This only comes out so far before it goes down into the seal. And then I kind of have this gap here where I can basically just go straight and then curve it a little bit, meet here, and then all my gaps are going to be covered. It'll be nice and clean. Oh, so with Glassade, I shrink it with the Glassade on. Doing things opposite makes it a little bit more challenging. So you want to give yourself as much film to play with on the top and bottom as you can when you go to shrink. So I'll first put the Glassade on the window, then add dryer sheets or dry shrink prep. Let that set up, put the film on the glass, and then I'll shrink it. And then after I shrunk it, then I'll go and cut out my window. It's just nice to have extra film in the top and the bottom to give you a little bit more material to work with when you're shrinking instead of just cutting it first and then pulling the Glassade off. So after you're done shrinking the window, then you can peel it off, touch up the edges, and install it. You could even leave it there throughout the entire install. Pretty much a one-shot go. I'm accustomed to doing it. Basically draw a straight line, continue, and this is where all the way out here. It's also really unnecessary, so then I'll swing this back in and just kind of meet up. Okay. It'll make sense as soon as you see it on the end. I tried tinting the 1500. Ooh. Yeah. Wait. Lagging? Hang on a minute. Let me check the stream. It's lagging? Not on my end, it's on YouTube, so that... Here, let me do something though. There we go, now it's back. It's not a me thing. I somehow... It's got a... Goofy. I wonder how I did that one. It's nothing on my end. It's just YouTube being YouTube right now. See this down here, that tells me drop frames. So if I'm dropping lots of frames, that means we didn't go over rain visors in class because most of them you should just, nowadays most people have weather techs on their cars and those will pop off. So if they're in-channel ones that run all the way out, get them out of your way. If they're not a little bit different, you cut out the pattern the exact same way, but you just have the amount of area that you have to cut. And it's tough. That's when you really learn the benefits of having an indoor space. It gets terrible. Hang on one second. Let me double check this. Son of a bitch. Hang on. So that's that way. Did I cut them out the same way? Is that possible? No, shut up. Okay, I'm just... So this one, this actually does go here. I was right. How did I get that so wrong then? No way. This one goes on this side. Okay. I'm just crazy right now. It's lagging. Yeah, I don't know what to do. YouTube's having problems then, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep streaming because there's literally nothing else I can do about it. I can't magically restart anything. Yep, this goes on this side. There's that. We're gonna finish shrinking that one. Come over to the other side. It's lagging AF. Yep, I don't know. It'll sort itself out soon enough. Oh, it fixed. Now it's better. It's good. You know what I did? Absolutely nothing, because it's not my problem. It's YouTube's. Yeah, there's literally nothing I can do about it. It's seriously, it's an ingest problem. Although you probably had a hard time hearing me even say that, but it's not on my end this time. Usually it's a bit rate on my end. Are they doing maintenance or something? They're not gonna tell you. You're just gonna experience difficulties like you did. There's no rhyme or reason for it. They have a very good uptime, and then just every once in a long while, there'll just be random streaming issues. So if on my end, it doesn't show any dropped frames, there's literally nothing I can do. It'll either sort itself out, and I don't know, it's YouTube. They have millions of hours of video being uploaded every second. So it'll either sort itself out, or it won't, and we'll come back another day and it'll be better. This is more enjoyment for me, listening to everybody try and give me solutions to a problem that I have no control over. What a bummer, too. I always hate that that happens. Just end the stream. You should just quit. Quit now. Hang on, I gotta message somebody. Canon. Yeah, I'm not going through all that. I'm not resetting it. It's just, it'll either sort itself out, or it won't. It's working perfectly fine now. Okay. Yeah, I was like half thinking I wasn't gonna stream today, so if I end it, it's just gonna stop. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I just hear a lot of panic. It's not working! I don't know. Do you have any remorse tinting? Did you ever wish to try any other businesses? No, actually. I'm pretty business minded and always and also kind of go along with what's happening. So if it makes sense to like add in my business or something just makes sense to go in a different direction, then I just kind of adapt to it or see cool opportunities and go from there. Window tinting actually made what I really wanted to do possible. So I really like, I have a very techie background. So, but I was never a programmer. I would always build like my own computers, mess around with computers. And I really liked the space, and originally I thought I was going to fix them. But then, as time went on, lots of other companies, developed their own computer fixing programs, and people don't really want to pay much to get them fixed. And then also, they became relatively easier to fix. So I kind of saw that whole path dying really quickly, but I still really enjoyed computers and messing around with that type of stuff. I just had no idea what to do. Like I said, I'm not a programmer. I take things, and inevitably I've got like a weird project that involves mixing certain things together and using stuff where maybe it's like I tend to make things work for me instead of using them for their intended use. Not always, but some things. So that's where like, a GoPro has streaming capabilities, but it's not meant for streaming to a computer. So then I figure out how to make it work with a computer, but without actually knowing how to program. So it requires lots of digging and trial and error and other little things. And then when we get into like stuff like the voice commands and, this whole crazy setup is just me going wild with like, ooh, I could maybe try this and maybe do that. So tinting was a good way to make money. And first and foremost, that's first with any job. Do something that makes money, and then figure out how to fund the things you like to do. Or at least have an income coming in, and then take a step towards something that you really want to do. So I never really knew what I wanted to do. I went to aviation mechanics school, like messing around with computers and systems and stuff. And then I just kind of like fell into this whole thing. So like when YouTube became more of a thing, I was like, I like watching YouTubers. I want to make some videos, and I guess I just will make them about what I do. That's about as far as that really went. And I just never really quit doing it. I quit for a certain time, but I always like wanted to come back to doing videos and stuff. But figuring out how to make all that work with like a topic, like there's a lot involved. You can't just necessarily make videos about anything that you want to make. So I always really appreciated the feedback I got from people saying like, hey, your videos helped me start my own tint business. And now I run my own shop and set my own hours, and I love it. Like, that was super cool. Or like, hey, I didn't know what to do, so then I started tinting, and now I absolutely fell in love with doing it. And just helping, create some opportunities for people is one thing I really, really like about the channel that I don't think there's really anything else. Well, I'm sure there's other topics I could get into, but, it's already my jam. So, super cool that I really enjoy doing it. So, however I can kind of advance it and mix it with like more fun things to do, it's really my tech outlet. shooting, and then now I got a sweet camera with would have gotten a gimbal otherwise, and then like same thing with like the fun to play around with. And then the crazy headset that I got, it's the like inner nerd, play around with some cool stuff that comes out. I want it to have a purpose. I don't just want it to be fast for the sake of being fast. Like, oh, it's a cool toy, and then you don't really have a purpose for it, so it kind of sits. This is like, ooh, now it's literally a part of my business, so I get to put it to work. Oh, it's awesome. But yeah, I've got the GoPro 10 right now. I was running off the 8 for over a couple years. The 8 was a fantastic one, and I didn't see a real reason to upgrade to the 9. And then when the 10 came out, I jumped on that one. That was a significant bump. This is just very clean. The tinting part can honestly get a little stressful from time to time. It depends on what I'm working on. You know, because there's this every one of these jobs. You know, somebody coming in here that has already seen the videos and stuff. I just hope that the work lives up to, you know, not everybody sees it, but some people do. And so I always hope that the people that see it are like really, really happy after they get their car tinted here. So I never want to take on a job that I'm not super, like, I don't like second guessing if I can do a good job on it. So I'm lucky since it's literally been my job for so long that I know a lot of what I'm getting into before I get into it. So that's helpful. Da, 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 da. Canon. Yeah, there's still some issues on the back end. Waiting for... How's Netflix a notification on my watch? How'd you pull that one off Netflix? Ah, that's a big problem. Yeah, bumped my live stream off Restream too, huh? That's no good. Hopefully that comes back. What was it? Let's see if we can do this workaround.
Would you be able to add the year, make, and model in your stream titles?
There we go. Okay. All right, we figured it out for right now. It's not the most elegant solution, but it is a backup that works really well when you want it to. Unfortunately, it's just not very big. Oh well. It is what it is. What's the chat say? Did the pandemic affect your income? Yeah, definitely. For the better, honestly. It just took a while to get there. It's been nothing but a... Okay, it hasn't been nothing but a positive. I can't say that. It hasn't been completely positive. But it had a surprisingly positive effect on everybody's tint business for quite a while. I don't know if that's ever really completely tapered off. I think somewhat it has. But what was interesting about the pandemic was you had the initial shutdowns, and then you had stimulus. So what really happened is there's a lot of people that were just like put on hold that would normally have gone out and gotten work done that just, they couldn't. So then as things started to open back up, everybody got extra busy, and it stayed that way for probably a solid year and a half. So when I started my business, as soon as the shutdowns happened, that was not great. But what it did do was so many people were looking for places to get tint, I was then given more chances in the beginning. So it was a positive for me. The other side effect was it made a lot of people more patient. So where you could go get, people were getting cars and furniture and everything now. That's what we're all trained. You go into a store, you buy it. If furniture stores tells you it's going to take a month, you go buy something somewhere else. So when you got to wait half a year for a table, nowadays it's like, oh, well, nobody's got it. So supply chain issues for everybody. That sucks. But, when somebody calls to schedule an appointment and maybe they were looking for something quick and now they can't find something, or, oh, hey, I wait on all this other stuff, I guess I'll be a little bit more patient with waiting for my tint appointment too. It's not a big deal. So both those things I think were positive for me. So it's forced many, many more people to slow down. But now we're seeing some real bad things happening. Gas prices surged. The economy is finally really showing a lot of signs of recession, and is a recession, I'd say, right now too. How far it's gonna go, I don't know, but I don't think it's over yet. I think it's really just, we could see a pretty bad thing happen. But what I think is a little bit more interesting about now versus before is people have a lot of different ways to diversify their income, especially online, where in the previous crash you didn't see that near as much. So may not be horrible. Oh, I should have tacked this down. It's falling. There we go. Wow. I managed to slice the back of my thumb with a razor. I'm smart. Okay, so on these ones, I'm gonna roll them a little bit farther down to really expose that side edge on the left side right now, not the right. So on this side, so I can really make sure that I lined up as close to the edge as I can. Because if this was tucked up into the seal, I have no idea how far over I need to go. I'm gonna line that over, and then I'm gonna roll this whole thing up, and then I'll maybe leave it, I don't know. Sometimes I'll leave it a little bit down from the top. Hey, what's up? Oh yeah, no problem. So we're gonna put this close. It's slip sliding around, which is nice. I would rather have it do that than stick super hard. But yeah, especially nowadays, diversifying any income, I think, is really important. It's hard to be completely self-sustained off of one thing. At least initially. So if you have a business and if you have a tint business and it's been going strong for a long time, that's great. I don't expect to see any changes with that. Maybe a slowdown, but should be fine. But as far as if you've just getting started and you haven't, see how much that goes backwards? If you're just getting started and you haven't necessarily pulled in a ton of business as a window tinter, you know, still having something else to fall back on to like till you get there. I mean, I think that's always been important. So we go ahead and pull this. I ended up rolling this up all the way. It should be fine. DTS doesn't have super tight side seals on the back here. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna pull the seal back. I'm gonna slide this over and see that funny like notched area? It's all gonna go into an area that you're never gonna be able to see it. Especially with how far down we tuck this too. So there we go. Because for me, tucking the corner all the way in there to make it like, you know, seem like a nice clean cut pattern is a little pointless. Just because that corner is going to start to pinch in a lot the farther you go. So you don't need to go very far into it. And there you go. Finish up any extra little bubbles. And zippity doo. There we go. And while we're on the store, we might as well cut out this corner. So one thing that's really awesome about these too is this is a nice straight edge, but they give you a little area to tuck this and a super big ceramic border with a gasket at the bottom. So you can oversize the crap out of these and still have plenty of space. So it's really like a little bit of a funky cut on this one. That's about all you got to worry about on these. Pretty easy. Deck lid gets in the way a little bit on the back too, so that's going to be fun. Nothing like laying down at work, getting paid $20 an hour to watch. Sounds good. Shoop. Got that. And we're just going to continue using the 24-inch roll that we've been using. Spray. Cut off a piece. Leave that tucked down a little bit. You can leave it below the seal because we're going to tuck it on the inside a little bit anyways. Then I'm just going to not shift it back and forth or anything. I'm just going to cut straight down. Look at how wonky that cut turned out. Look at that. What happened there? Let's shift it back over a little bit and let's give that another little try here. Easy peasy. What the heck was that? I don't know. I don't even know. We just let it get a little squirrely, that's all. Sweet Jesus. What is wrong with this? We did it twice. Might as well just leave it tucked over a little bit almost. There, we'll go up. There, now we got a nice straight line. Good, good, good. Leave that lined up there. How are the Amazon blades? You know what? I never really even tried them. I pulled one out of the box and wasn't really impressed with the feel of it. I haven't really given them a shot though. They seem subpar. Like when you run your finger along the, like an NT, it's real sharp. When you run your finger along an Amazon blade, it feels a little rough. So they're probably awesome for like arts and crafts and stuff because we need our blades to be really sharp and smooth. So for a lot of things, they're going to be fine enough, but they're definitely not the same sharpness. So they'll probably get you by. The part I'd be concerned on is cutting on customer glass with something like that, and people are going to go, oh, well, it was stainless steel. Because we really haven't had many options. It's literally been like NT, OFA, and there's the not so recommended cheap ones on Amazon, but now there's a new cheap one. So I don't cut on glass with them. That's good. So yeah, you can use them for like you can use them for tinting. Just yeah, be careful on cutting. That goes for a dull blade because what works well is stainless steel, but it's got to be sharp too. So that tells you stainless can still cut glass. So when you're starting off with a blade that is just not super great, it's best not to use it. It's not worth the risk of saving. Oh, did Restream come back? Oh, it did. How about that? All right, so let's tuck this in there. I'll let my carpet shield get away from me for a second here. See, we'll tuck this up here, slide right over into the side. Give us enough time to maybe answer that phone. Oh, that's a spam number anyways. Hey, Restream's back. Look at you. Cool, so we don't need this anymore. Slide this back over here. Save $5, but buy $300 worth of glass. Yeah, I know it. It sucks too, because it's like what, $10 for the 2 packs? Like it's a fair amount of saving on something you're gonna use every day. But yeah, it's not worth it. Have tips on horrible Honda Ridgeline Pilot front quarters? I don't have a lot of good tips for you. The panel sticks help, or pull the glass. So getting them cut is a little tricky, but it's too hard for me to explain without it being here. I took a panel stick and I kind of wedged it in the front corner of it, like behind the rubber, and it helped free it up from the glass a little bit. Not as good as getting the whole thing removed. Stick a wire in there. I've heard that. I didn't know if that would still work on that one, but it makes sense, I guess. They're a little bit different from like a Civic. But it would be cool to see. I just got to get some wire. I think, do I have it? I think I bought some, but I don't know where I put it. The dash cam giveaway. I know. Me too. So I just laugh because it like doesn't make sense for me to make that video. I got so tired of them literally sending me emails like every day. Like companies still do. When that video gets more views, it's like I literally get only questions of like, hey, you want to review our dash cam? And it's like, no, not really. Oh, but we'll send you out one for free. And it's like that's what they all say. Like they're all free product in exchange for video. But the problem is when you get to a certain point, like you just go buy the product to make the video because that makes as much sense as getting the product for free. So, yeah, I have them. I don't think whatever video that I make is going to be near as good. It's all about the title. All about the title with that type of video. I've got a couple of ideas, but then I just got to make it. What type of brand do you use? GeoShield. Is an M5 easy to tint or difficult? Easier. They're not. There's harder cars to do. Like I'd take a M5 BMW over an Audi any day. But, you know, they still have wider panels and areas to tuck in the film. So I wouldn't say they're a complete cakewalk for somebody that hasn't tinted much before. So it depends on where you're coming from. Ooh, yeah. Let's wheel this over. So I got these heat gun holders. I don't know if I've showed you guys yet, but look at that. Heat gun holder. Boom. Convenient. Love your content. Thanks a lot. Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Do you guys ever go to Target and the self-checkout goes, thanks? Like, all lowercase, simple, thanks. It's just always thought it should be more upbeat than that. What's your favorite squeegee right now? Like a handled squeegee is going to be the hybrid. I still love that material. It's pretty awesome. Wife loves Target, money pet. You know, they've seemed to up their $5 section as soon as you walk in. So yeah. Yep. My wife sees that section quite a bit. But she's found good stuff for the house. I live in Canada, so there's no Target. Oh, that's okay. You're not missing too much. It's kind of like, it's in between a lot of things. So, you know, it's more upscale. Upscale than a Walmart. Or let's say a Meijer or something. So you can do some very light grocery shopping and mostly like clothes and, you know, general electronics and stuff. It's not crazy. Have you ever had soap not mixed right in the tank? No, it's always mixed right if I remember to shake up the keg. The thing that might happen is if, like, soap is heavy, so it'll generally just sink to the bottom. So if you put soap in it and water and your lines were a little empty, and then you charge it with some air, next thing you'll know is that'll shoot into the hose, and it'll be like extra soapy and then not soapy anymore. So just remember to shake it up before you use it. Closing tomorrow. Yes. Oh man, we're super excited and a little bit little nervous. Mostly because we just want to make sure everything's right. So there's a little bit of pressure there, and then we already got a moving van. We started loading up a bunch of stuff yesterday. So tomorrow is literally going to be. That's one reason I decided to stream. I had a couple of cars, and then there's this one, and I was like, I guess I should probably stream it because Wednesday is all that. Thursday we're also getting some stuff delivered. So Thursday and Friday are kind of going to be a little weird on the schedule. I'm not quite sure what they're going to entail. Is this okay? Yes. Yes, it is. Ooh, this is like... I usually shift it right up to the end. So I just want to make sure that, like, yeah, we're right there. We're not overlapped. Because it's right up there. But she's sticking. So, shit. Yep, that. I should have just done this anyways. I don't really like peeling it back once I have it butt up to the top. So, but this one is very opposite from the other side. The other side was shifting around a lot. This side is sticking a little bit. Did somebody curse my soap? Is that what just happened? Get that little center. No. That's when it all goes to hell. I keep having contamination issues. It's your install. Make sure you wipe off your top edge, you tape your sides, and then when it comes to your install, that's where you're going to get most of the problems. It's got to go in pretty smooth. As soon as you put film on the glass and then peel it back and start like crunching your corners and like it's just got to go pretty smooth. Because then if it doesn't go that way, you're going to have problems. Doesn't matter how many times you clean it. Honestly, the things that'll help prevent the most amount of dirt seems to be just putting a little extra time into cleaning the top edges and taping the sides. That for me is money. That way if I have a pattern that sticks and I got to peel it back from the top edge, like what I'd be really worried on is if this is an older window, but it's still laminated on the top here. So a lot of dirt can sit up in this top edge. So lately, I've been just really cleaning the hell out of the top edge with both a clay bar and a towel. And sure enough, there's still a little pocket of speckles right up here. I'll see if I can show this because I got to redo this window right now. This all looks good, but that part where I started to pull back the tint, I don't like doing that because then it does this. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's the little speckles right here, just a little pocket of speckles. So one or two little ones, it's a quick touch-up. It's no big deal. Plus, most of the time it's under the seal. So nobody's really going to notice it very much. And even there, I could probably get away with leaving it. But I don't like seeing clumps like that, so it just pull it, cut it, redo it. So it just stuck quickly and then right up to that top edge, so I would have liked to just shift it into place more. Do you ever have any contamination in the tent? No, my windows are always perfect all the time. Good timing on that comment. Yes, if you watch for long enough, you will definitely see windows get peeled off. And some, like, it's been pretty good lately. There's been some streams where I've just have had a hell of a time with what should be simple simple cars. But, you know, it's been better. It just comes from repetition. Just doing it over and over again and trying to figure out what is your real problem, where is it coming from, and how to compensate for it. So there's very, very few times if you don't get your window in place very smoothly and easily, you can basically guarantee there's something extra terrible about your window. So as soon as I picked the film back up off of the top edge, even though I cleaned the absolute shit out of it, there was just a little dirt pocket sitting up there, or just in the way that it pulled back. It just, little dirt pocket, little speckly bunch. It was pretty small as far as like the size of the specks go, so you could sit there with a heat gun, you could touch it up a little bit, you could minimize it, and it's also going into the seal. So it's not something that most people would notice, especially when you're walking up to your car, like it's hidden there. But when it's grouped together like that, I personally don't like it. And I know where that dirt came from on that one, so I'm just gonna redo it. I torch driver's door when they smoke, vapes, sticky. It could be something like that. It's the first window I'm doing with the other sprayer. Actually, you know what it might have been? Might have been left over from my... Might have been a little sticky from it being, like... So I just swapped out my water for this car from yesterday. But I tinted the last car with yesterday's water, and it was fine. But now there's a fresh boost in it, so anything that would have been in the hose is left over, so I just didn't run it out. Maybe that, I don't know. It was just a little tacky, it wasn't crazy. But it wasn't moving. Then I tacked it down, and that was too much. Oh, can't you give me another warning? Sorry, my headset. I've been using it all day. It died. I should grab the other ear, but I forgot. It gave me like one warning, and then it stayed quiet for a while, and now it died. One window, and now everything's a problem. It says battery low. There we go. It's working though. That's cool. Tinting is hard. Tinting is hard when you're learning, but easy when you practice and you get used to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a lot of skills. Tinting especially. Like, what's really frustrating about tinting is everything is like a one-shot go. So if you don't get it right, you can't hardly ever take a step back and fix it. You're starting over on that window from square one. And when you take all this time to then cut and install a window, that time adds up really, really quickly, and it sucks. And then you have material loss. So it's like you have the actual price of the film, and then you have in your head what you could have made on that film too. And so all these things start really stressing you out. It's a very frustrating skill to learn. Although I saw a woodworking one the other day, and I think I would have just as much stress, if not more, on that, because they were doing like epoxy rivers through the table, and they were doing this super thick one, and if the epoxy doesn't cure quite right or it cures too fast, it cracks. I couldn't imagine having all this money into building a table just to have the epoxy crack or something dumb like that. Like, ugh. I'd lose it. So, like, we have our frustrating cars and our frustrating days for sure, but the biggest piece of glass typically is the windshield. So when you move to like vinyl, paint protection film, you can easily be redoing full bumpers, and your cost is going to be way higher. Oh yeah, this is sliding better. I think it was just the soap was a little tacked up. But this is doing what I wanted to do. It stuck really quickly, so it looked like it was all matched up to the top edge, but it was just pushed over on the corner just a little bit, and I wanted to back it off. But that requires literally shifting the entire pattern around. So I like to get this as close as I can, but any overlapping is bad. So this is good now. Now we should be way better off than where we were before. So I'll double check this top edge. But yeah, with the clay bar, I've been just cleaning the crap out of my top edges lately. With the clay bar and rag. So I'll scrub it out with the clay bar, especially when it's a laminated piece of glass. That helps dig into that space. And then I'll basically keep wiping the top edge off until I don't see any black lines left on my rags anymore. That's when you know you really, really got it. This looks good. Perfect. I learned and now I got my own shop. Nice job. That's super cool. You know, they used to make me super jealous. Like, I didn't necessarily want a shop, but people in my chat would tell me all the time. Like, what's cool is there's what I know I can do and what I figured out, but then there's what people with different perspectives can do and bring to the field. It's been cool to see. So when I was making videos, I was still working for shops, especially early on. And then it would be like, you know, it was like 2-3 years from when I first started making videos, and I started getting messages like, hey, I literally like opened up my business because of you, and now that's what I'm doing full time. From time to time I go like, well, shit. How am I not doing that yet? Took me a long time to get there. And honestly, like I never would have, like I never really thought things would be this way. Like this wasn't the plan. This became the plan much later on. But I always felt like the channel was too broad. And so people watching the channel, there'd only be a handful of people in the area that would actually bring their cars in here. Most people that would come across it are probably too far out of state. But there's been a surprising number of people that have been close enough. Not crazy, but definitely enough. How do you deal with car batteries not dying on you? Put a charger on them. This is actually a prime candidate for it dying. It'll probably be fine, but you'll especially see that in wintertime. It's smart to have a battery charger on it. If you're going to tint the doors without a charger on it, I try not to take longer than a half hour, 45 minutes, just mentally. But I know it goes longer than that. It's not a big deal, though. Throw a charger on it. I think there's still a problem with the headset right now. How do you deal with car batteries not dying on you? Battery charger works. Yeah, it's connected to PORTIL. Okay, so hopefully it'll still work. Do you also do PPF coatings? No. Let me try this again. We'll see. So I learned how to do PPF. I was never the most skilled at doing it, but I've done a handful of jobs. Ooh, frying chicken wings. Oh yeah, we talked about chicken wings yesterday. That sounds good. All right, I gotta hurry up. I actually have a couple PPF videos on this channel too. PPF is really, really cool. I think if you're gonna do PPF, you should specialize in doing PPF. It's hard to jump back and forth between tint and PPF. Maybe know how to do both, but then you really specialize in one and hire out for the other. Because when you're doing tint and PPF, it very much is, it's so time consuming. You have to scale it with other people. Do you have Chick-fil-A? You know, we do now. We haven't had it here for too long, but there's only, it's very limited. So the Chick-fil-A's that we have, I mean, I hear it's the same way out of state, but they are super backed up here too. Like, there's one at a mall in Troy, and then they just recently built one maybe like 20, 30 minutes away from that one. Probably about 20-ish minutes away. So, like, they are far enough away from each other where it's just, yeah, you are in a Chick-fil-A void. So they are the Apple store at the mall, for sure. They're always busy. We like going. Same here. Limited locations far away from us. Yeah. So I really like it. So it's nice to go every once in a while. Have an excuse to, like, run out to a mall. Walk around, not buy anything. But yeah, Chick-fil-A is cool. Spicy chicken with pepper jack, and then sometimes we get the 8-piece. Oh, and the, what is it? There's sweet and spicy sauce. Sweet sriracha. That stuff's really good too. We end up putting that on the sandwich too if it's not too spicy. Yeah, so this part, these are also laminated rear windows. So just taking a rag and really paying attention to the edges of the window. What now? What now? I have a 2007 DTS I did myself, but there's a couple of spots that got scraped while breaking into my car at Kings Island. That's a weird story. There's a couple of spots I would have thought from tinting. Nope, from breaking back into my car at Kings Island. You know, I've been to Kings Island too. That's in Ohio, right? I was pretty young when I went. It was the first big roller coaster that I ever went on. Actually, I think the first looping roller coaster, I think it was Son of the Beast, something like that. It actually goes, it's like a wooden roller coaster that goes upside down, which is horrible. These wooden roller coasters are jittery. They just give you a headache. But I was young. How much soap do you use when you fill up your keg? So when I use on a 3-gallon keg, I put about 3.5 ounces worth of soap. An ounce of that is Dawn Ultra, and the rest of it is baby shampoo. So that's for anybody that's a lot of soap. Pro Classic and Pro Nano really require a lot of soap. There's a lot of other films that don't take that much soap, but this is what's tough. It depends on where they come from. So if you use Global, if you use Solar Effects, if you use Expel, you probably use more soap. If you're using like Lumar or Suntech, you don't need that much soap. If you're using Avery NR, it comes from a different place, but Avery NR needs a lot of soap. And then Avery NR Pro, for whatever reason, uses a different adhesive. You don't need as much soap in that one either. Why? I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is it's not too challenging to figure out. If you put the tint, if you have a window all cut ready to go and you spray the window, you put it on there and you go to slide it and it just stuck. Add more soap. That's how you know you need more soap or not. Does C2? C2 doesn't require as much soap, no. But I've still had some instances where it's sticking, so I've been able to use the exact same amount of soap. I'll still use it for C2 along with all the rest of them just to keep everything in line. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily need as much soap. Sometimes you just get, there's little things that play factors into it. So like if the glass is sticky, or sticky or hot, and you can kind of tell if it's sticky. Like I said, you just put it on the glass and then the film doesn't really want to move. You're not really going to be able to tell that much beforehand. Maybe if you see the water beating a lot rather than sheeting on the glass. So if the water's falling off, like a hydrophobic coating, which most windows are not going to have hydrophobic coatings on them or anything. It's just kind of a characteristic of some windows. Some will have it, but just watch the water, but it's really not something that you need to pay attention to in most cases. But yeah, C2 is an awesome film. It's nice that you can use the same amount of soap. So if I filled up my tank in the morning, I got one car that's getting ceramic and the next one's getting carbon. It's nice to not have to be able to swap out the soap. But there's some kooky stuff happening with Carbon Plus and Apex on windshields right now. So we're trying to figure that one out. It seems to be with the 50%, which is literally what I love to use on windshields. It's definitely one of the most asked questions that I always get. That and what am I using to cover up panels and stuff? I'm really annoyed that it's gotten complicated rather than like simpler. Because at this point, you know, a lot of my older videos are just like, yeah, just baby shampoo in a spray bottle and you're fine. You don't need all that much. But it just depends on what you're working with. Where when I first started using Pro Classic, I was about to throw it through a window. It just, no matter how much baby shampoo I added, it just kept sticking. It was really frustrating. Okay, so same thing on this side. Tack it up in place. I'm gonna cut from bottom to top maybe again, just to, because that went really nicely. Okay, cool. Ba-ba-da-ba. Yep, the only thing that we gotta trim off is this little guy right here. Nice. Do you like Expel? I mean, I hear great things about them. I have some samples that I still have to do a comparison video on. I mean, if you're with them, then and you like their program, then yeah, they'll be great for you. I'm with another shop, and they seem just decent. Yeah, you'll do well with them. They're just kind of a lockdown community. So they're very territorial. There's a lot of people that would like to use it that can't, and that's no fun. But at the end of the day, oh my God. Oh yeah, that's working. There we go. Let's tuck this in. Wow, a lot of good questions all together.
Classic City Tint Super Chatted $4.99. Hey Matt, I use 3 different films. Could
Whoa.
a company stop selling me film because I use different products? Asking because a company follows my page.
Hey! That was one of them. Classic City, thank you so much for the 5. I really appreciate that. I mean, no, but yes. A company can do whatever it wants to. Expel, yeah, exactly. Expel will do that. So Expel wants you to use their products. This is kind of a nice segue into talking about that. Most companies won't do that. Most companies will have maybe some sort of minimum, but when you're established through them, like, you know, do they want you to carry all their products? Yes. Will they stop? Not any other companies that I've heard of up to this point so far. Expel has become very, like, pushy. So they want all their dealers to be very uniform. So you're basically walking into a franchise, and if you're gonna carry PPF, they want you to carry Expel PPF. If you're gonna carry Tint, they want you to carry Expel Tint. They don't want you to find or use anybody else's stuff because they feel like they have strong enough offerings that should solve all your solutions. And if you don't, then they may pull the plug on you. Or, you know, if there's another company in the area that's like, hey, you know, we're looking to do tint and PPF, and you're only doing the tint, they may pull the plug on you anyways because you're within a certain territory and they're looking to go for bigger fish. But most other companies aren't going to do that, and if they would, I wouldn't care to use their products anyways. I think it's a very... I mean, it's obviously working for them, but I don't think it's a very positive move to yoink products away because you favor one product from one company over another's something else, right? Like, there's usually strengths and weaknesses from every company, and figuring out what you want to use for your business is your business, as long as you're, you know, abiding by whatever guidelines that they set for you as a dealer. I just hate that sort of like restrictive stuff. You might end up seeing more of that, though. The more that we, you know, one company has success doing it, then other businesses then might follow suit. So it's tough to say. But thank you for the 5. I wouldn't sweat it. I would just stick to your business, and there's usually going to be some type of alternative. Unless it's the company that I just talked about. They might do it. Looks like there's something in there. There is. Oh, we got it. So this is interesting. This is not super fun. So he's got a rear shade in this. So the deck lid comes up to about here. I have a little bit of room against a light fuzzy deck lid. It's not going to be super fun, but it should go okay. So let's go ahead and set this up. I got plenty of space around all the sides and the top, just not as much room on the bottom because of the way that they do this deck lid. Should be okay though. It's nice and clean too. Here we go. Let's get, okay, so for the dry shrink prep, I would soak down the baggie like I would a dryer sheet. I'd spray the window, and I would put way too much on it. So if you're using dry shrink prep, a couple sprays on the bag, and I like to do this. I'll make a line in the middle, and then I'll kind of like cross over where I made that line, so I'll have enough moisture across like the window to create like a nice light layer without going overboard, and then make a couple sprays, go back over to the other side, and basically do the same thing. That's about how much I put on there, but it really should only be like a thin layer if you're gonna use it. I like it because it tacks up faster too, so this is gonna be dry super, super quick. And let's go find a roll of film, and by the time we do that, we should be able to throw it on there. So usually I would do that first, and then go tint the rest of the car. So if you're using dryer sheets, it's going to take longer for them to set up. If you ever had to switch the brand of film that you use, who would you use? I don't know. That's a tough question to ask, or to answer. This is 20. Oh, I almost made a huge mistake. I need 5. Oh, I'm glad I remembered. So we did 5 on all the rear sides, 20 on the front doors. I just grab a 20. I don't know why. I just did. Let's put this back. Let's go. We need a 5. That's carbon 20. That's carbon 20? Why is carbon 20 here? Okay. We'll remember that. This is 5. How'd that get put there? No wonder I couldn't find that box then. Yeah, I'm genuinely not sure who I would use. But I would have a lot of the same rules in place that I have now. I would want them to, you know, an average person that wants to learn how to tint should be able to buy them. They shouldn't be set under any type of minimum. So that weeds out some film companies right there for me. Which kind of blows, but that's just what it is. And they've got to just have a solid upgrade plan. So like good, better, best, strong offerings. I would like to find somebody with a really interesting program that always seems to try and be pushing things, I guess. But I don't have anybody. I don't know who I would go with. I do a lot of research and stuff. What's the temperature? What? In? Oh, it's too far away now. I gotta read it. In/out. In/out of what? Like in/outside? I don't know. It's warm outside. It's not quite as warm in here though. I don't know. It's probably like high 70s in here right now. It's a little toasty, not crazy. Outside it's probably like high 80s to 90. See, the biggest thing about doing other film companies is like it's so much of it's a branding game. So a lot of people are all doing the same thing. They all have, you know, they got pretty boxes, they have pretty advertising. They're not really pushing different programs, new ground. They're kind of just watching what everybody else is doing or sticking to the game plan that they've always had. Or, which makes more sense for big companies, is, you know, they're taking on more aggressive programs and going after bigger business, because at the end of the day, what they're really trying to do is sell as many rolls of film as possible. So that's why we've seen companies push into dealerships and stuff like that too. So I'm not looking for a company to necessarily take over the world with window film. But, you know, making interesting improvements to film, interesting opportunities, helping their current dealers out. Like, I don't know. Just somebody that's doing something a little different is always what I'm looking out for. That's one reason I really like Geo too, is they're very supportive of everybody in the community. So if you want to get film from them, you can. Honestly, that's That's most of it. Just finding a good film can be hard enough sometimes. You need to know your slip. We just talked about it. Dawn. So 3-gallon tank, which some of that's air. I have about 3.5 ounces worth of soap. About an ounce of that is Dawn, and the rest is baby shampoo. How did you find your shield? You know, I don't remember. I'm trying to remember because the first film that I used with them was their dark matter lineup. It was pretty cool. But later on, went a different route because some of the early carbon and ceramics, like all of them early on, still had a haze to them. And we didn't quite understand yet why. Now we know a lot more about them than we ever did, and they've gotten a lot better. But Geo's always been following those same trends and stuff. They've always tried to stay on top of, you know, when they saw carbon films and ceramic films make their way into the market. Like, they were one of the first people to bring one of those films too into the market. So they also pay attention to stuff that's going on. So one day they reached out and they wanted to do a video. And they're just, hey, we really like the channel. We think we have some cool products. We'd love to figure out how to do some type of a video. And if you go back, we did a couple videos early on. And then later on, they were looking to do something else. Like, they're like, hey, we went through the entire year. We tried a bunch of stuff. We saw what did well, what didn't do well. And one thing that did really well, that far outperformed everything, was literally just collabing with you on a video. So what else can we do? And I was like, hey, I'm really trying to do these live stream things and start my own shop. And I'm looking for a different product line. So would be really, really cool if you guys could help support stuff like that. So that was around the time their carbon came out. And I installed their carbon on a really picky person's car, and they were very happy with it. So I knew they were onto something with it. So does the pressure really makes a difference in atomizing mixture? No. Yes and no. I can't really quantify how much it helps mist it, but I don't think that matters as much. Like, because you can mix the same slip into a pump sprayer, and it honestly works fine. What the sprayer really helps for me is putting more quicker. It's about convenience and speed with it. So it's just pressure on demand. Like, I never have to keep pumping up a spray bottle. It's just, I drag around a hose, put it exactly where I need to, so it's convenient. I don't have a keg, but I found if I keep my pump sprayer pressurized, I can do more. Interesting. Yeah, it's never something I've really thought much about because I've been using keg sprayers forever, and just the immediate, like, it stays cooler here a good amount of time. So whenever you have cold glass, things slide easier. And this is also like a climate controlled area. Like, it still gets a little toasty back here, but it'll be way hotter outside. Pull a car in here, and I can take my time getting to the back window. So things stay cooler overall in here. So you might notice that a little bit more if you're down south or you're in a hotter garage, stuff like that. It just immediately, as soon as I saw the kegs, I was like, I need that. Is Jack still there? He actually left at the beginning of the stream. He helped fill some distributor orders, and I didn't have much else for him to do. So he's like, hey, there's nothing else for you to do. I don't mind taking off. Sure. That's fine. I'm always trying to get you more hours, but if you don't feel like you need them, I appreciate all the help, man. He's a huge help. But it's gotta be here to get paid, though. At least for now. Maybe remote work eventually. Okay, so this is all set. Ready to be installed. I just gotta prep the inside at this point. So we have a couple things. The bulldozer and the side swipe. So I'm gonna see how close or how far down I can get these squeegees. I might have to grab something else, but a bulldozer should be fine. Do you need more soap if you're in a hot, dry climate? What you need to do is look at how your film reacts when you try and slide it. So if you put the film on the glass and it immediately sticks, then yeah, add some more soap. If it's sliding around some, then you probably have enough soap. You're totally fine, and then it'll tack up when you squeegee it out. Soap really isn't a big problem to figure out. It's very, very simple. I get asked about it a lot. People overthink it. Like, there's no magic with your soap mixture. It's just, I need enough to make it slide, and then when I squeegee it down, I like it to start to tack up. It might slide around a little bit more. So as you get used to that, you know, you start making little adjustments. But ultimately, like, it's really straightforward. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, we got room. We're fine. It's a little fuzzy there, but as long as we stick to the glass, we're not gonna catch any fuzz. What does the clay do? Clay is just a prep tool. It helps scrub the back window, the defroster lines, picks up this gnarly black crap off of them. It's just been nice for cleaning is all. Honestly, the only amount of prep that I used to put into back windows was literally I go wipe it off with my hand, I squeegee it off, and I install. There's very little that sticks to most back windows. It's usually just a little bit of crud. What was cool about the clay bars was they seemed to pull a lot off of the defroster lines, and just pulling extra little bits from getting stuck in between little defroster cracks and stuff, I figured would be helpful. And because we're already using a wet process, it's really easy to just pick up a clay bar, do a little extra scrubbing on the back glass, and continue. Like, so I didn't really have to change any habits. It fit in really nicely. Are they glass specific ones? These ones are. They're glass-specific synthetic clay bars. I like these ones a lot because they don't leave clay marks behind. I've used some that are also glass-specific, but when the glass is hot and you hit a little dry patch, they'll leave clay behind. These ones are a little bit harder, so they don't do that. But any synthetic clay bar should be really, really helpful. You know, one thing I forget. Oh no. All right, hang on. One thing I forget about the DTS is, like, it's not curved in a bubble shape, it's just rounded. So when you install it this way, it like wants to sit off of the back window. It's not as flat. It's just kind of like a rainbow almost. Just made it a little funny. It's wide. It's wide and loopy. All right, let me pull this back down a little bit. We're just gonna flush those corners. So I don't like doing that, but this is a pretty safe spot to do it in. And hopefully everything turns out good. Let's get that down. How does your film fold when you pick it up? Mine keeps getting creases. This will still crease if you pick it up wrong. So you can, like a poster, if you roll up a poster and you bend the poster, you just put creases throughout the entire poster. Film, no matter what grade, will do the exact same thing. You can let it roll, but you can't let it bend. That's probably one of the better ways to describe what's going on. God, this is like the most annoying. This right here is the most annoying part about the entire DTS. It's so dumb. There's this little button here that like is almost completely tucked into the dots. It's just a little line that's offset down. And so whenever I cut out my back window, it just butts up against the button and they gotta cut it. It's not hard, it's just annoying. That's it. That's the hardest part about this whole car. Or most annoying part. As long as everything else turned out okay, though. But yeah, part of learning how to tint is learning how to handle the film. I don't know if this helps, but whenever you hear the film, usually bad things are happening. It should be very quiet. When you start hearing it crumple and stuff like that, like you might hear the liner, but I don't know. Somebody will get this. It'll make sense to somebody. So like when you're sliding the film into the side edges, you don't hardly hear the film make much of a sound. But if you're crunching it up against the sides, you can hear it crumpling. Most of the time you shouldn't want to hear your film say anything. It's it screaming in pain. Ah! But yeah, when you fold it certain ways, you'll put like zippers and stuff into it. So best I can describe this is here we got a big finger here. What are you? Hang on. Did we do it enough? Okay, cool. I scared myself. It looked almost like a pinch. Ugh, and the bottom corner too. I gotta get that all out. So let me go grab something else. How are you not getting side fingers? Because I shrunk my film. You gotta shrink it. When it all lays flat on the outside, it'll lay flat on the inside. You might have something small, but it should be pretty minor. Okay, we'll clean this off in just a second. Let me throw this away. When you have film, you can roll it into a tube, and I can do that just like this, and it's not gonna crease. As soon as I do this, I just put a crease in it. You see these little pinch points and stuff like that? So when you're handling it, you're doing it in a way that's doing stuff like this, where it's creating a third bend. You can roll it this way, you can roll it this way, but you can't do any of that together, or you start to get these creases and zippers and stuff. See these? These look horrible. These are not gonna come out. So you always wanna make sure you're handling it in a way when you pick it up off the back window, the whole thing's gonna then go like this. It's not gonna, like, you're not gonna allow it to like come up and bunch up like this and that's all creased now. So don't do it that way. So with a really big piece of film and then you spray water on it, edges start to get heavy, they droop down. Handling film just takes practice. You just gotta pay attention. Just be a little conscious of how everything is sitting, and be a little overly careful when you're handling it, and then you'll get pretty comfortable with like what you can do with it. DTS. Detroit. Wait. Am I crazy? Detroit Tint Studio. Ah! I'm so dumb. We got the Cadillac Detroit Tint Studio here. I just put two and two together. I knew DTS. I see DTS as the car. And then those things independently. Nope. Detroit Tint Studio, there it is. I'm so dumb. All right. How long did it take to learn how to tint? It was like my full-time job. And it still took me like a year to feel competent. I really wasn't that fast of a learner. But there was one day that shrinking for me really started to click. And honestly, like these little concepts of like pole shrinking and whatnot, I would see that much later on, and I still didn't really understand it. And stuff like reverse rolling is like still somewhat of like a wizard trick. But it just kept going with it. So when you become like borderline obsessive about it, like it's only a matter of time. You'll get it. Anybody can tint. There's just a lot of people that their frustration gets the better of them, and then they go, "This isn't for me. I can't deal with this." Which is like, it's respectable. But anybody can learn how to tint. That's why people can still charge what they charge. You know, there's enough competition, but I wouldn't say it's overly insane. It could be worse. There's enough tinters out there to like throw out bad jobs. that it's like it's still when somebody puts out a really good job, it's still pretty well appreciated because there's even more terrible jobs getting put out every day. So it's got a really nice balance of so many things. You know, like literally a full car took me, you know, you can do it inside of a couple hours. Oh no, Domino's. Inside of a couple hours, you get to see interesting cars. You make good money doing it. You stay relatively clean while you do it. Like, seriously, you work with baby shampoo and soapy water all day. So, like, you can still sweat and have a tough day and feel tired and everything, but you're not as dirty as taking apart an engine or touching anything under a hood. There's a whole lot to like about it. It gets tedious, sure, but I think every job does too. And there's enough, like, I don't know, there's enough opportunity out there to make it interesting for yourself still. Battery check. It's probably gonna die. Or is that the car? Are we doing a car battery check? Because it might be dead. That's because somebody cursed me. Oh yeah, we should put this back there. What's the monthly Kirkland microfiber budget? Dude, I overbought on Kirkland rags. I probably bought 6 or 7 packs of them, especially for the classes. I just have a ton of them to wash. And it's nice because you just keep buying, like, every time we go to Costco, okay, not every time, but, like, there's times I would buy a couple at a time, and they just add up. So we go fairly often, and it's just a convenient thing to pick up, and it's like, yeah, rather than spending, like, $1,000 on, like, a bunch of premium rags that I'm just gonna wipe a bunch of dirt on anyways and feel bad. Just buy a couple sets of Costco rags when I go here and there, and they add up pretty quick. But having clean towels is really nice. I can make four towels last a day. But windows are getting very smeary by the end of the day. So especially under this lighting and stuff, I have every opportunity just to spruce things up, make it look better. Which that right there is alcohol and water right now. I think that's all it is. It's like the quickest way to get my streak-free windows here. I don't know. I've always been under the, like, you know, glass cleaner, right? You use glass cleaner to clean glass. With soaps, you have a lot of, you have, like, streaky grease stuff that you need to wipe off. I should get some vinegar too, right? People say vinegar in water is great. There we go. Clean off that mirror. Should probably do his windshield too. I detail cars, and honestly, Kirklands are all I use for polished wax removal. No need for fancy towels, and they don't scratch the paint. Oh, that's appreciated. Yeah, they've definitely seemed like, I'm not a microfiber expert or anything. I haven't used a ton of different options. But I've always just appreciated using more rags. They need to be plushy enough to soak up water. And I like when they don't leave tons of fuzzies behind. So when these are new, it's good to run them through the wash, but don't use dryer sheets with them or anything. You can use a detergent to wash them, or at least that's what I've been able to do. I don't use a microfiber. I'm not that crazy, but I just use like Tide to wash them. Leave them in the dryer with like low heat. No dryer sheets, and they will stay really nice for a long time. The heat and dryer sheets is really what scuzzies up your towels very quickly. So yeah, I'm a fan. Do you wipe the paint? No. I don't like to touch the paint. So getting a little closer, like on camera right now, most of this looks really clean. And if you get down here, this is like, you see a muddy patch right here. So if I wipe off the panel here, especially on a black car, you're gonna see a nice clean panel, and then you're gonna see that layer of dirt throughout. So if I'm gonna wipe off anything, I'm gonna just wash the entire car. I don't quite go to that level. Mostly because I'm a tinter, I don't want to be a detailer. But also, inevitably, somebody's not going to know I'm washing their car, and then I'm going to clean up the whole thing, and then they're going to see a scratch or something, and they're going to be like, you did that. So I'm just hands off with the paint. I touch the glass, cover everything up, and I'm not responsible for anything on the paint because I didn't do anything on the paint. That's just a personal choice, though. There's probably lots of people that would be very tickled with getting their car washed. Okay. So do we try this on stream? It might be dead. We'll see. No, we're good. Look at that. We are running. I'm not going to close this all the way. I'm just going to look at it. Dang. So we did 20 on the front, 5 on the back. This thing turned out nice. Pretty straightforward, too. No headaches. Just one window that we screwed up. Probably my fault. It was my fault. But yeah. She looks good. I'll shut this off real quick and then we'll close up and that'll be it. I gotta go get some chicken wings. What do you think about Scotch scrapbook glue to seal the film on the dot matrix? I don't like the sound of it. I'd find something that's maybe more UV resistant. Unless it says so. Canon. So, Scotch glue, like craft glue, Scotch glue, it's not made for sunlight. Like it's made for little art projects and stuff. Wow, this is fun. So what can happen is you coat the dots and it'll look okay for a little while, and then eventually it's gonna yellow. So I've heard different glues being tossed around. Just find something that's more UV resistant, and then you should be fine. It's not a bad way to do it. Holy shit, your hair's... Thank you. I know. Are you reading chat? All the comments are read to me, so I listen. How do you deal with it? With my hair being... No. How do you deal with the dots? I leave them. So if they're a thin dot border, I don't do anything about it. On the thicker ones, I've got a black vinyl called Dotrix that I'll install, but it's very rare now that I have to do anything like that. For the most part, like you might get a dot matrix pattern around like the mirror tabs and stuff like that. It is what it is. Have you ever had a problem with tint peeling off the glass after the install in the black glass or windshield? Mm-hmm, yep. It's typically, I mean, so there's a lot that I could say about it. I don't really have a ton of time to say it. But for the most part, it tends to be like just a less tacky adhesive. It's generally not a very good adhesive. Or if it is, it's got a light initial tack, so you have to just use less soap on something like that. It could be the dots themselves, so cleaning them off with like an alcohol can be helpful to get stuff to stick better, but it's kind of a rare issue, and whenever I have that with a film, if I've prepped everything and maybe lightened up my soap a little bit and it's still doing it, I just wouldn't use the film. There's enough other choices out there. It's just too much of a headache. I wouldn't try and baby a film to make that work. Because like you need a film, nowadays especially, you need a film to work for you within a certain amount of reason. Like if you got to sit there and baby it to try and get it to stick, it's just not worth your time. I don't care how many benefits the film has. There's enough other options out there that seem to stick well. So I like what I install. I don't have that type of problem. So if it were to happen on a random window, it's either just a bad roll or something with the glass itself on that car. And then everything should be fine. If it was every car after that, I'd use something else. Alrighty, so thank you all for hanging out today. Big shout out to Classic City Tint for the super chat. Is GeoShield dye good when shrinking? Yeah, this whole car was Pro Classic. It's their color stable dyed. It's a hell of a film. Super, super nice. A customer was picking up a Kia yesterday, was not happy with the white around the dot matrix. So he saw a video where a guy polishes the dots with steel wool and says it sticks better. Yes and no. So you can heat it up and get it to stick a little better after it's completely dried out. Sometimes. Yeah, there's some people that aren't going to be happy seeing that white line. Some of it is in the way that you explain it to people. So being upfront about it and just having displays in your showroom if it's a problem, like showing a before and after, like this is to be expected with all window tint installs. It's just how it is. Go look at every car on the road and you're going to see the same thing. If it's not a truck or an SUV that's factory tinted, you're going to see that on the dots. So that's just how they are. Every once in a while, you might come across somebody that's just it's unacceptable for. That's okay. I can't do anything about it. There's solutions out there. I think the only real solution is either you fill up the dots with a glue or you sand them down so they're literally flush with the glass. So with the sandpaper, you risk scratching the window. That would suck. So you see on like some older cars where some guys would take a lot of pride in sanding the top area of the dot matrix and then ask, what about the edges around the bottom? And they say, oh, no, we just do the top. But you still got a border around it. It's just not as bad because the top area is all clustered and the thin line isn't as bad, but so you still have silvering around it. Heating it up and pressing it out, like getting it to basically be dried out and then press it in, you can get a pretty clean look off of that. But some areas might look better than others. I don't know. I don't see any perfect solutions out there. They all have their drawbacks, and they're typically only ever the top area. They're never like the bottom lower area. So no matter what, you're always going to have a border around it. I like that sun distributing hangers have explanations about the matrix border. Me too. Having it literally written down as expectations and stuff, like look at that card, it says it right on the card. I can try and explain it more, show you some examples. That's just how it is. So most people are okay. as long as like there's some uniformity to it. That's another thing. So they'll usually silver out and be pretty symmetrical throughout. And then once it completely dries, you can maybe take your finger and try and press it down a little bit better. But that's about as far as that goes. I have them swing back by in a week and I can push them down. Yeah, exactly. All righty, my dudes, I got to take off. I got to go get some chicken wings. I got some stuff I got to do. I got to close on the house, too. I'm excited. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I'll be back soon. Have a good one. Tint some cars. I got to go deliver this. He's waiting up front. Very patient. Bye.